Perfect. So, all good. We're gonna go live. We're gonna click on the live button and another window pop up. Go live now. So let's see how the things goes. So we are live. I see Big Al, it's already on, which is good. Liliana and Gary.
We've got several folks. Liliana.
Yes, Vitali, welcome. Welcome everybody. Just a technical thing, if you can hit one of the emoji if you hear me well. I just want to make sure all right, perfect. I see Liliana, the thumbs up. Awesome. So we are live at the fifth event, which is called From iSketch to AI Catch. With me, I have Kristen, and prior to start, and as the LinkedIn is loading all the information with all the people, with the listeners, I will speak about some technicalities. So this is a free interaction. You know, if you like to come with us on stage, on the bottom part of the screen, you have a symbol like a hand. Click on that hand, and when you come to the stage, usually you are unmuted. So over there at the bottom, you have also a microphone symbol. So if you like people to hear, you need to unmute. You need to click on that unmute button. So that being said, let's start some introduction, and after that we'll present the goals for this audio event, which will be really interesting. So my name is Sandu Baciu. I'm a civil engineer as trade. This is the fifth audio event which we want to talk, and the subject will be on AI innovation side, how we can share our experience from people to learn about it, some news about the AIs, and also the 3D revolution which is coming, and I'm more sure we're going to have a lot of cool stuff about it. So that will be on my side. Invite is also Kristen. Kristen, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm Kristen Tippett, and let's see. I'm at Sandu because of the work that we've been doing with talking about AI for content creators. So my husband and I, who have a company called Brandist, we have a live on Fridays called AI for content creators, and we talk about literally everything around AI tools and just kind of like use cases and philosophy and big questions and concerns and all the things. And I'm also, so the work that I do mostly is around working with innovators and visionary people. I have a group called Club Visionary for Women, and we work on just like newer stage entrepreneurs who are kind of figuring out their voice and their business, and I work with them in that capacity, and I also help people with their brand identity. So but the reason that I care about AI is because it was not something I had much knowledge of before I was introduced to first Midjourney because of my husband John, who's on the call listening, and then so it was a way for me to bring some of my creativity to life that I hadn't previously been able to do visually, and that was really exciting and interesting, and that really up-leveled my confidence in myself and my creative abilities, and also gave me more courage to try other tools. And now I use GPT-4 a lot for different business purposes and training people in how to use it for their own specific use cases, and that's really fun too. But I'm just so excited about how accessible these tools are to people, and especially I think the reason, and I'll let Sandu talk more about this, obviously, why I'm here today is talking more about kind of kids and AI and education and kind of like where we're at with that and what we see. I have 4 kids. John and I have 4 kids, 11, 9, 7, and 3. So kind of like a very hot topic for us to kind of be thinking about and figuring out how we are going to use it in our home and our kids learning it and all the things. So that's me.
Really cool stuff. Thank you very much. And the second invite is Lance. I will let Lance to present himself, and after that I have a surprise regarding kids. I guess everybody knows my posting from this morning. Today is also the Children's Day for some countries. In some countries it's another day, but it's okay. So Lance, if you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit, and we're gonna start after that talking about AI and cool stuff which we can do with that. You need to unmute on the bottom right. so people can hear you. Lance? All right. Technologies always. So Lance, on the bottom right, it's an unmute button. In order for people to hear you, you need to click on that unmute microphone. All right, I see you. You put a thumbs up. All right, so until Lance is unmuting his mic, today, as I said, it's also a celebration day. So, it's the International Children Day, and the topic for today is also around the education with AI. That's what we'll try to touch today. I do have several notes, and as you guys realized, prior to the meeting, I'm doing several snippets on the meeting invite on the comment side, and usually we follow up, on the discussions which we have. I really like people, if they have cool ideas or websites or links, it's good to keep it on the comments over there so people can come back and see. So for today, because it's also International Children's Day, I was thinking, wow, what cool subject will be about talking about the AI. Because as you probably know, and Kristen already touched on it, as parents, obviously we care about our kids' education. And here in United States, people, they use extracurriculum stuff. They use different other services, and probably people are familiar, Khan Academy or ABC Mouse, stuff like that. Yeah. So that have enhancements on the overall development for the kids' mind, and being creative and stuff, which are related to the education. But with this AI, which kind of coming like a tornado and touching pretty much all the industries, I thought it was good to touch on this subject as well, because it's kind of a very interesting subject, like the kid education and how we can see the evolution of the education, considering that AI right now is touching pretty much every industry. So, the first thing which we think, okay, obviously on the creative side, it's absolutely normal kids to be actually exposed to the AI as people are doing stuff with Midjourney. Yeah, the only thing which you need is to be able to write a prompt. So that doesn't mean it's got a certain age restriction and stuff like that. So therefore, what is the most important thing for people to create will be to have imagination. And in my opinion, kids have lots of imagination. I mean, I really like to see how the kids will create stuff in AI, because I'm almost sure it will be an explosion of ideas and things which will amaze a lot of people. So from that point of view, prior to going to the details with what softwares and education itself, how that can be influenced, from your experience, I will ask my speakers first in the invites, and feel free everybody to raise their hand if you like to come on the stage and have comments. Kristen, from your experience, how did you find out with AI, and how did you find it, and are the kids okay to use AI?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I don't know. I don't know the answer in terms of how to kind of help them navigate the area, this area in a way that is safe for them and helps them learn and understand what is, how to have critical thinking and how to do all of that stuff in terms of, the things that you get from the internet in general, right? It's a lesson on trying to make sure that kids understand, just because you read it somewhere doesn't mean it's true. And you have to really kind of, know a little bit about what you're trying to find out in order to know if what you're reading and seeing is true and believable. And so I think it's going to take, some extra sort of just knowledge and awareness of that. But my daughter, she's the one who's really gotten, she's 11 and she has her own phone. And the first time that we kind of figured out that she was already aware of these tools was that she had downloaded an app called Dawn AI, I believe it was called, and you can do little sketches, and then you can click on different they're style prompts. So if you want it in the style of a tarot card, or you want it whatever, you can click on that, and then it renders the image based on the sketch and based on the little secondary prompt that they already had there. And so she showed me this, and I was like, well, this is cool because I didn't know it existed. We'd just been using Midjourney, and I know there's lots of different tools, but the fact that she found it on her own and then was trying it out, and figuring it out, plus it was free, so that was helpful for her too. Because she doesn't, having access to something like Midjourney or even DALL-E now with having to buy credits, that's more of a barrier for kids for sure in terms of their ability to just play around with it. But the other thing that she just started doing was there's something called Beta Character AI. And she's really into gaming and anime. And so I guess with the character AI, you can actually chat. Like the chat bots are the characters. So like she has all these characters from these animes that she, watches and reads. And so she'll be able to chat with one and kind of feel like she's interacting with this character. And for her, that's really exciting because she sees these characters and she kind of falls in love with them and like feels really like, close to them. And so now she gets this chance to sort of pretend interact with them, and it feels, it's exciting because any of us who are, either if you've read a book and you really like the characters in the book, or you've seen a movie and you feel really kind of connected to the characters, this is giving her this sort of sense that she can interact in a new way with them, and that's pretty exciting. Now, one thing she hasn't, to my knowledge, really tried out are things like the other chatbots, like asking, GPT-4 or ChatGPT to help her with something, or for school or any of that. And I haven't heard of any of that kind of thing happening at her school. She's in 5th grade. So I'm not really sure. I know last time Lance talked about that and encouraging his staff to use it for different reasons, and like and helping kids understand, like, just, I guess, both sides of it, that it can be really useful. It can also be something that you just need to really be aware of and pay attention and use critical thinking with. So I don't know if he can unmute to talk a little bit more about that. I think he maybe was having struggles with that. But yeah, if anyone else has any experience with it in the school setting or with kids, I mean, I'd love to hear what else, exists that kids are kind of getting into, because I think hearing about the character AI one that she's using that was a new one too, and that was just really interesting to me how exciting it was for her to be able to feel like she got to communicate with these characters.
No, yes, good thought, because on my side, my kids are a little bit older. They were in high school and also in college, and of course they use ChatGPT. Of course they try. As soon as it appeared, they were on the first line over there. But in the same time, I kind of put some brakes on my side. I say, no, let's think about, like exactly as you mentioned, the critical thinking is like, no, don't take it like this. Yes, in principle, the whole thing, the whole AI is basically taking something from a database and reshuffle those things and rearrange it based on the prompts and the input which you want. And after that can be reprojected either as an image, as a text, and so on. So basically, in my opinion, it's kind of like simplistically, of course, it's not in the detail, it's not quite like that, but in generally speaking, it's reshuffling the information, creating something new. And again, that doesn't mean you are, you need to put your thoughts on it in order to be imaginative and creative. In the other sense, also is, hey, you have to use your mind. And that means, yes, this is a tool, and you should treat it as a tool. It's not something, I have to do homework, I will just play something. And no, that doesn't work. That is not right. And always you need to use your mind. And actually, I will ask Lance, I will probably, Lance, if you have experience, I would like to hear from your side, if you can unmute. Because I know there are a lot of examples like this. Actually, we try to mold the minds of the kid to do the right thing. And again, AI, yes, it's a tool. Yes, it's something which it's at the verge right now, but we should not slide on the other side. Okay, take it easy and just give an answer, because as we already know, garbage in is garbage out. Same thing applies for AI as well. The information which we want to take has to be good in order to have also a good outcome, and that is also sometimes very confusing, because with all those things which appear with AI, fake pictures and stuff like that creates a lot of confusion as well. So is anybody else who likes from the audience to come to the stage? I'm trying to test the system as well to make sure on my side I can see when somebody raises their hand and I can bring them in. Oh, okay, I see John is trying to come as well, and we can see okay,
And
John.
I was going to say
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
Brian Castleport should think about maybe coming to the stage, because he's been working on, oh, there he goes, raising his
Yeah.
hand, thinking about, creating courses for kids in creativity using AI. And I'm curious what his thoughts are in terms of, definitely with like animation and some of that stuff, like what tools might be available for kids to try that out, if they're interested in trying to make something come to life, create things that maybe they had no access to be able to do before, like what that looks like too. But anyways, hi, John.
Yes, John and Brian.
Oh, that's a great segue, Kristen. Thank you so much for my introduction. I'm John, I'm not Brian, and I'm mostly here to test the audio. I had way too much coffee today because of Kristen. My head is swimming. I am a fan of kids using the AI and playing with it. My experience has been that they use it creatively. I haven't seen any evidence that they, like at least our kids, get like so sucked into it that they like forget to draw or use markers, which we had some conversations over like the last few months, maybe a few months ago, that there were a lot of concerns brought up, like it's not for kids, they're too young, this and that. And I just, what I've observed is that kids experiment with it and they have fun. They use it for like they're kind of goal oriented, like I want to see this. But at least our kids have continued to use markers and play. And I think the other things that draw them in, like Roblox, again, not a bad thing, but it takes a lot more of their time. Yeah, I think that's what I got. I'm gonna give my head a break, and I'm sure everybody wants to hear from Brian. So Brian,
Yeah,
take over.
yeah. Brian, go ahead. Well,
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm not John, and I'd like to be sometimes. It's pretty cool, but yeah, no, I think first, God, let's hope that they continue to pick up the markers.
Can you guys hear me now?
Continue using that. Yeah.
yes, Lance, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh, thank God. I'm
Okay.
sorry, guys. I've been having so many issues with I had to go on to my computer, so I apologize for the delay. I didn't mean to not answer, but
No,
go
no.
ahead, sir. I hate to interrupt.
No worries, man. Glad you're on here. Lance offers a lot, so I'm glad to have him here too. So yeah, I was just gonna say, first of all, yeah, I hope these kids never put down the markers, and that goes for big creatives as well. I think it's to do that as well. But as far as like the courses I'm creating, whatever, yeah, that's a good point, Chris. I think something that I'm considering now that I wasn't obviously when I first started the course was how to start incorporating the tools, using AI, not only to have them do some of the processes in the course. They're going to be creating their own inner superhero character and things like that, and I'm going to now point them to Midjourney or other softwares that they can to develop that, but also using it to teach them some of these tools as well. Like that can be some of the course curriculums for sure. And which way you want? And so yeah, I'm definitely planning to do that. And I think I'm still exploring what those tools are going to be that are best maybe for younger kids to use and whatever. One of the ones I just discovered recently called Prome AI or Prome AI. It's PROMEAI.com. Has some really cool tools, and the one that is really powerful that I like is Sketch to Render, which allows you to just upload a sketch or a drawing or an illustration or a photo, whatever, and then do iterations of that image. And so you can take a sketch and turn it into like what looks like a photoreal image, or you could turn it into a fully rendered illustration, or and it's really powerful and works really amazingly well, and it's super easy to use. And I think it's a great entryway for people to explore it takes much less of all they literally have to do is upload an image. So I think that's a great one for kids, and I'll definitely be using that in my tool set. But other than that, I don't know. There's so many like new things coming with
Yes.
GPT and stuff, plugins and things that make it the process easier. They have whole like guides now, like where you can just open ChatGPT, I guess, and the plugin thing is on the left or the right, and it has all the prompt like things you can put in or whatever, so you don't have to know how to prompt it as well. So things like that are really powerful, and I haven't even really tapped into that stuff yet, but I will be diving into all of that soon as I develop my courses. So.
Yes, actually, I prepare a whole long list on my side to just quickly talk about what is new, and there are so many things new. But I'll quickly, prior to Lance to introduce himself and also have the chat, quickly, I intended to do it obviously on text to image, talk about whatever the Midjourney to Blender can do, the Photoshop with the AI beta, other cool stuff, but I'll touch it on that after Lance. So Lance, you got the stage, brother.
Hey, thanks again, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulty, but that's why we're here to talk about these things. And so when these difficulties pop up, there are other options. So when the phone shut down, on a computer, make it happen. But excited to be on and to let everybody know what's going on. I actually ran into something that was interesting because I remember I made a comment on the ability with new AI. Sometimes we can make things look good, but for the design portion of it, is it to scale? Is it to ratio? If it's something that you actually build, will it fall apart? Will it hold the weight? Stuff like that. So as people are getting more into those things, and NVIDIA, which has exploded on the stock market right now. I'm not really about that, but they're really big into the chips and the AI chips and stuff like that. But they just something called Neuralangelo, and it's basically it's basically combined realistic visuals with 3D models, so it gives you the geometry too. So it's AI, AR, and 3D tech all smashed together, allowing you to be able to render, and just with a simple photo walk around from a vehicle, and it would literally chart it and get it down to the physics and the geometry of it too, which I thought was cool. So as we're inventing tools to be more creative, we should also deal with being more constructive as well. So that's kind of just one of the two things that I saw. And I think it was Christian who was mentioning how to bring it into the classroom, and with the teachers, is showing them, not just how things look, but how things are made. Like, I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, How It's Made, whether it be the super shears or things like that. You go on, you get to watch these little, 10-minute videos about how something's constructed, and it's really exciting, but they don't go into the tech that was before that, just how it's made, but not how it was, the ideation behind it. So that's why I really like what Sandhu is kind of bringing together with this, from iSketch to AI Sketch, because there's a lot of ideas that are concepted on a napkin, but we can't really put it to put feet to it. We can't give it any structure, materialize it. So this is allowing people to materialize their thoughts, their ambitions, their dreams, and even something where if you're lacking on a particular skill, even when it comes down to the prompting, like, so the prompts. Now I'm a little on the fence on that, because I think we should always prompt people to speak better, prompt people to communicate better. So instead of dumbing down the prompts, maybe have the AI correct. Well, this is that's, I understand what you mean, but a better way to say it in this use case would be, and allow AI to kind of correct, instead of dumbing it down, like "I" is not a word. Me and Sandhu talked about that. AIGHT is something that's probably in everybody's text messages somewhere. I'll see you later. But that word no longer, it does not exist. We allow it to exist because we checked it off and said, I'll accept it. And that's what AI's learned to do, is accept some of our foibles. So I guess that's really all I have to kind of combine what we've spoken about so far, and just see what you guys think about that. I mean, if you guys have any tech or any AI models that you've run across to do those things.
I like what you said about the prompting, like still being able to communicate well. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed about Midjourney is that describe feature, where it can kind of teach you some other language that you can use to describe an image that you want to get. And
imagine versus describe. I love that.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like, for me, if I'm trying to understand how to better get an image that looks a certain way, I'll upload one and ask it to describe it. And that way I can either then prompt it, to just use the descriptions that it's given me, or at least now I have a better, just like, collection of language to use to describe certain things. And I think if the AI can teach us with the chat prompting too, better ways to help, because that is part of the thing that can be very difficult for people is saying the right things in the right way, or even pushing it, because I've had to do that now a couple of times where it's telling me one thing and I'm saying, no, I don't think that's right, actually, can you check that again? And then it does, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, this is that. So just, which gives us a chance to also practice being direct and give directions. And I mean, there's like so much when it comes to this prompting game too. So I just wanted to throw that part in.
Yeah, no, actually, it's a good thing, and also Lens kind of hit on the 3D part, but I will hold that toward the end. But basically, challenging the AI, I think that's a good thing. You mentioned it, Kristen, for many other things. One is there are alternatives to ChatGPT. I know ChatGPT, maybe by algorithm, is doing errors intentionally, kind of trying to do well to be sneaky. They might do that, when programmers, they do their programs, they are very intelligent people. They do this kind of stuff for fun. But there are alternatives to ChatGPT. Actually, even in the post, I put a bunch of them, like LastSP, SciSpace, or even PromptBox. They are alternatives, and each individual, let's say, developer, OpenAI or Midjourney and all the others, they do have their core people which are doing their work in a certain way. It's kind of like a business, yeah? So some of them, they are more fun, some of them, they are more technical, some of them, they are more, as engineers, just, straight, and you kind of see that. That's the point where I'm going. That means, yes, it looks like OpenAI, you need to challenge it. Maybe in the algorithm, they want to learn from that. And, if it's giving you an answer, the best thing is to challenge and say, oh, is that the right answer? Or can you do something else? And you, exactly as Kristen said, you'll see the algorithm is coming and they will rearrange it and do it something else. Or might say, oh, yeah, you're right. Actually, I made a mistake. I saw that as well. So that's really a good point. And another thing which I want to mention, there are so many tools. I found one article which talk about 100 practical application. It's nice to scroll through that PDF because I think you'll see some other stuff, and they try to explain how that work, and you see the differences. You see them. We talk AI, but the flavors of AI, they are multiple. That means one AI it means something, one AI it means something else, and again that goes back to the developer, and I think that's something interesting to see how the whole, let's say, industry of AI is going to go through the future. We could see in the short term, that means yes, from image to video, we know that it's going to come, yeah, and after that it's going to be 3D, we know that. But those flavors which AI have, how they respond, how let's say restrictive is, because that's another big issue. Where the references are coming, very sensitive things over there as well. The other thing is, what are the restrictions? What are the like keywords which are banned or stuff like that? And I see a lot of comments also on LinkedIn. Are we kind of force it toward a certain standard because the prompts are kind of rigid and put it between certain limits? That's something which I think we should watch, and we'll see how the industry is gonna develop, considering also the legislation part in the next few months or years. But I don't think it's gonna be years. With the speed as it's going right now, must be by the end of the year kind of stuff. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think those are people scrambling for institutional laws, like what we say, like an intranet. So you can use it, but you can use it within our company, within these parameters or within these restrictions, which again is part of the governance issue that's everybody's having an issue with AI now, is how can we govern it? How can we, and not really limit it, and not limit it, but to, shall we say, customize it for the use cases that are most prevalent for the industries that are using it. Because like we said before, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should, and doesn't mean it's actually going to be the best option. So it's really a responsibility thing that has to be taken. So everything you're saying makes 100% sense when because people, left to our own devices, we can imagine some crazy things. And
Well,
so,
I wonder if that's, if there's a hesitancy then, on the topic of schools and kind of trying to include it in that arena because people don't quite, first of all, they just don't understand it at all, right? Like administrations or teachers may be like, I don't get this. I don't know. I've never been shown kind of how to use it and what it looks like. So then they also, furthermore, don't know how to put some governance around it in terms of how, coming up with policies and procedures for how it can be best used in that atmosphere in a way that feels safe for everyone, where everybody can be a part of it. So I'm curious, like, what that landscape is going to look like, and what, if you have any knowledge or insight, Lance, into kind of how to make that better or happen.
well, the only thing that I've seen is to hold the teachers and the students accountable, because right now, even in the public school system, right now there's big debates right now on the literature that's being allowed to be in the library. So it's like the kids can literally access anything and everything regardless. But they're saying within this learning environment, within this institution, we can at least limit the amount of things towards educational, almost to dumb it down, to put it on a smaller scale of what China has done with their version of TikTok. How that it's only available to certain ages and only for 30 minutes, and only certain things are accessible, like learning. They can go to do a virtual tour of a museum, learn a concept for school. But that's the biggest thing, is really going to be is they're already having that issue with literature, and now this book is being banned and that book is being banned because of the content. So really, it's going to be, if the content is conducive to the teaching material, then okay. If it has nothing to do with the teaching material or the subject matter in which you're using, is err on the side of caution, and don't do it. Keep the main thing, and there's plenty of stuff to go down rabbit holes later, but you need the basics. And so I think in schools, it's really going to be ironing out the basics, the use cases, and even so how they do with, the reason why Robinhood got away with some of the lawsuits and other trading platforms was that they said, before you can trade, you got to take this little course, and at the end of this course, answer these questions for understanding. And once you understand it, then they'll open that access to you. So maybe even layering or tiering the level of access to students and teachers based upon their ability to grasp the concept. Like you were saying, Kristen, they don't know. So give them 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute tutorials on the basic concepts, and then ask them those 3 to 5, qualifying questions at the end. And once they've received that, that confirmation that at least you know what you're doing, what we're saying, and then you may go forward. So I guess that would be, a place to start.
But I just wonder who's going to actually do that part, even. Like, who's championing, I guess, the use of some of these tools, in the spaces in that industry, so that they can even create something like that. Because, I don't, to my knowledge, think that anyone in, like, at our kids' elementary school, it's a pre-K through 8th grade, is, incorporating it or talking about it, not that we've heard about anyways. And who brings that in, who says, okay, hey, like, let's think about how we could use this in our coding class or our art class, or even they do project-based learning, so they're looking up things, they're researching things, they're putting presentations together that's how they kind of learn and share with each other. And
you would almost literally need like a board to create like a small panel of a content, it would be a combination of people that do student like the student success, or the student what they call it's basically like the counselor. You'd have to bring in different levels of the schooling. So the art department have to come in. There's somebody from the school board for regulation. Of course, somebody who deals with it. It's always a diversity and inclusion officer. You'd have to bring a bunch of people in the board so that they could come up with a standard practice of everybody can be on board with it. But in the end, it's really going to be, if they don't have anybody in leadership who can champion it, like you're saying. So somebody who's part of student services, that's what I'm talking about, student services. This would definitely be a student services thing, and definitely you want to bring the parents involved. So somebody with the PTA, somebody with student services, definitely somebody from a principal or a director of the learning facility, and then make sure that they know what is being held accountable for the instructors, And then, of course, for the students, as they build curriculum based upon these tools they're using, they have to be able to, again, present those use cases to, the board, to the community, to the parents, to the students in a manner that's understandable, but also having those guidelines. So it definitely need to be a panel of people, and they would have to, kind of go over those use cases, like you said, and say, all right, what is our low-hanging fruit? And again, what are the things we're going to just steer away from? Like, we're not even going to talk about or deal with this particular industry because there's too many, there's too many variables. So
Yeah,
the
no,
things that are controllable.
right. It looks like the whole education, in general, all the industries, they cut a little bit off guard because this student service is general, and this is that for any industry actually, and it's also for any age because everybody got exposed to AI in the same manner, and pretty much not too many people they were prepared. But that being said, I think it's definitely a good way to talk about simply because. Go ahead. Simply because actually the legislation is trying right now to catch up. Also, we have Big Al on the call as well. Go ahead, Lance. You want to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say Big Al.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Welcome,
guys.
Welcome.
In relationship to what Lance was talking about in these concerns about books in the school right now and everything, there is an awful lot of negative press out there related to AI right now, and also to fears of students using ChatGPT for writing papers and things like that. I think until the politics change a little bit and there's less fear mongering of things, it's going to be very difficult to get things like this into school systems. I think that possibly the art side of it could work, but there's just
Al, you break off.
it's just putting fear in the hearts of everybody out there.
And to answer that, that's actually something Seedly and Chris Branch and OpenAI and that they've been discussing. Is there's right now, because you're right, they're demonizing AI so much. You have to literally prompt a strategic search to find the positive things that are being done. There's a ton of positive things being done right now in the AI field, but they're being overshadowed by all the negative things. Like, this person used it to commit suicide, this person used it to break up with their girlfriend, this one used it, and they're using all these negative things to demonize it, when it's like, but it also helped this person who doesn't have the use of their arms create art. It also helped this person do this. So there's a ton of, so really I think what we can do to assist that is to champion it. Literally all of us, join forces and find as much positive interactions that we can with AI, and of course, but warning them of the dangers of the negative side, but let them know. I mean, like, money, for instance, can be used to feed a starving third world country, or it could be used to facilitate a drug ring in the inner city. It's like people will use the tools to do right or wrong, but we're going to champion the right and not the wrong, and that way. And let them know that good can outweigh evil in this, not to bring the Star Wars force, but it's just letting people know that there is bad, but the good is also there too. And since we have to literally put those out there and find that good content and champion it and try to get that to go viral, because the negative's going viral, but the positive is not.
I think the main thing is to communicate that this is another new tool, and I think certainly there are schools that, at least I would think in high school, that are teaching things like Adobe, Photoshop and Illustrator, and with Photoshop beta coming out now and having these capabilities, maybe this is going to give a little bit more legitimacy to using AI, but I think it's going to take a little while, because until our politics change and the amount of negative press is Saturday conference. No, it wasn't. It was on a weekday. That doesn't matter, I guess. The thing is, it was a thing for people to get to know each other's businesses and things, and it was based in London. They had a speaker on, and the speaker just went on and on with negative things about, staying away from AI stuff and ChatGPT and inaccuracies and all this kind of stuff in the business world because it's not developed enough and going on and on in her comments. I could only imagine that this sort of thing would start happening with parents in relationship to discussions with school boards about bringing AI learning into the classroom.
But yes, Al, but in the same time, you see more people are embracing AI because they know there is a future. And yes, I agree, there is a lot of negativity. But one good thing is always trump many negativities, because as soon as you can say, hey, look, this person could not express herself or himself, and here is what he does. He made a nice picture, or the creativity, the find that the only thing that you have it only in your mind, and you could not take it out, and you find a way to take it out and express it, and people can see it. That trumps all the negativities, because in my opinion, that's the most important thing. That means you should not limit a person. It's back to the freedom, kind of. Like people right now, they find a way to express themselves which they didn't have it before. Yes, there are a lot of sensitivities. There are a lot of people. Yeah, on my side also, I'm attacked many times each time when I'm posting something. But the point here is people can express themselves, and the creativity itself, it's come out. It's easy to say, yeah, you have in the style of that person or that person, which is okay. But what you want to create, what you have in your mind, that comes out. And I think that is another way to see that's freedom. It's like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can express myself, and I can show to the people what I have in mind. Because, as I said, there are people which they cannot do that, either from, let's say, artistic point of view, but even to express themselves, like, there are tools over there which makes you to express yourself, even in 3D. That means I do expect actually with 3D at one time to see a lot of nice shapes, a lot of, basically it's going to change the architecture. Right now, everybody probably noticed the architecture, it was kind of boxes, similar, because it was economical. But right now with the new tools which we have, you can create very, nice shapes, and as the technology evolves, could be even a real-time architecture, basically what I'm saying. With the AI, you can have a discussion with your client, and in real time, you can create renders. And when this 3D revolution is coming, there are softwares over there. Some examples, Zoidevt, Cine3D, 3D Guru. Those are softwares which they take a picture and is making a mesh. And as you have a mesh, you can do whatever. You can 3D print it, you can do printing house, and so on. Which means, one is the speed, which is the most important part for AI. That's the advantage. It's doing very fast stuff. But in the same time, it's unlocking humanity creativity, which we never have before. Previously, we have only slots. We do have silos, people looking in that industry, on that industry. Right now, AI is making those merges. It's making the links which we kind of expected to have it, but we never have it before. So, yeah, I think
it's creating those gates. It's creating
right,
those gates.
exactly.
You see my gate creator. That's awesome. I like
right.
that.
Yeah. And again, from the people which are speaking, feel free to raise the hand and come to the stage. With people which are on the stage right now, yeah. Go ahead, Al.
I disappeared for a couple of seconds, pushed the wrong place, but I just wanted to say how much I agree with you, Sandhu, about letting people see the positive side. What I did after that conference was I messaged the people that organized the conference, and I suggested to them that they take a look at not only my work that I'm posting on LinkedIn, but also do a search for Midjourney on LinkedIn and see all of the wonderful things that people are doing with it. So, I think the more, I actually had somebody when I was in that group, a little discussion group, and they'd never heard of Midjourney. So, it's.
Yeah, and I do have also another positive thing. Right now, everybody probably noticed the concern which is with AI is driven by companies. Yeah, it's pure corporate driven. We have OpenAI, we have Midjourney. Those are companies. If you want to use their services, you have to pay it. I think this is going to change. It's exactly as it was in the 90s when we have Linux, which was free, yeah. And which one they were at the time? The drivers, Apple and Microsoft, the two. Okay, it's now monopoly, but those two kind of have all the market. And after that, you have all those open sources, and that's where I want to go. Right now, AI is gonna start having open source. People is gonna say, why should I pay that? Why should I pay? You try to do with a service which is for everybody. There are places in this world, $1 over there, it's a lot. Believe me, I saw that. So again, payment wise, that can probably go away as long as the results will be similar to the results which established company have it, like Adobe or again Midjourney, which is leading the pack on visuals. But I think that is going to change. And why I'm saying this, if we look to Blender, and I started with Blender like 20 years ago, I knew about it, but I never pay attention to him. Always I have another tool which was paid, 3D Studio Max, Maya, and even SketchUp at one time. In time, those open sources, because they are produced by people which they do it pro bono kind of, they will become better. And I'm telling you, in the next 5 years, that is going to be the future. What I'm saying, you look to game engines, you do not pay for any game engine. Even if you take Unreal, even if you take Unity, both are free. All the applications which are coming with, so yes, you need to model your 3D stuff in a modeling software, which could be free like Blender, or you want one which is more professional, you can pay something from AutoCAD, for example. But that mesh goes somewhere else. Similar, free with Blender, you can put the textures on the 3D object, and after that you bring it to the game engine, and is no restriction over there. You can do with the game engine whatever you want. You can do with the 3D web and so on, and that is what I'm saying is gonna come very fast. But from speed point of view, it's easier to take an image and make it a video. It's easier to post it on TikTok. It's faster to do that rather than do all those 3D exercises. But if you look also to what AI has got as a capability, and just mention, like Zoe Dev, you take an image and it's going to create a mesh. I think that is going to change, because the key is to have open source for AI. And through what I'm seeing, I think the trend is there. What do you guys think? Lance?
Oh, I was about to say, I definitely see that trend emerging too, because more people they're noticing that, especially ChatGPT and OpenAI and places like that, they're actually they actually have there was an article that says you're the CEO and ChatGPT is your COO, which is actually a lot of people are using it to do things they never thought they could do. But I still, like I said, we still err on the side of caution. But what you're doing with the 3D art, and you're giving it practical use cases that can help us in society. How can we engineer something that's better suited for the environment? Like, there's a lot of things that other countries have that we could all benefit from, but it's like there's the politics and the whole thing about interweaving it to the current systems. And so because there's that red tape that we have to go through, people are treading lightly. But I think in this particular instance, they need to, instead of treading lightly, more, tread with leadership and say, look, this is the path we're going to take. And as it comes, we're going to, put the governance in place to handle that, because like you said, it's not going anywhere. So just like, calculators didn't go anywhere when they added them to the school system, after the abacus, they started realizing that now we can make harder problems, and we can solve things in a better way, utilizing the AI. And so, like I was noticing with the tools that they have, with Firefly and Adobe, mixing it with Beta. And then of course you have the other ones too, but the 3D models are the ones that are going to be the most used, because that's how, they've got 3D printers. Imagine an AI 3D printer now that's now powered with AI tools that can allow you to come up with renderings, and actually not only just materialize them in a digital image, but now being able to create them in a 3D printer, which is something, Sandhu, I was actually going to, bring that up. Is my brain tends to take everything to the furthest reaches of it. So now that you're actually designing things with 3D, if you're going to print up a mod, like you said, you can show this to your customers and to your clients. But I ran into a kid yesterday. His name is Seth. He's 22 years old, and he designs warehouses, and he uses AI tools to help design warehouses for efficiency, for safety, things of that nature. And you being able to, say on a 3D, gridded square, platform, you can say this is why, and this is how you should build it, and this is the specs and the measurements. That's something I think is really gonna, shine through in the end. But there's kids, making good livings, designing things using OpenAI tools that people who are still on the sketch software and doing it by hand, it's taking them twice, sometimes 3 times, 4 times the time it takes these people to render these images, and they're not educated on it. So Sandhu, how could you incorporate this with, like, say, a 3D printer, for instance?
Yes, there are methodologies, and yes, can be implemented. It's a subject which I can talk for hours. In the same time, it should be something which is modular. I will explain later why it's modular. Just think at atomic level, everything is modular. We have the atom, so everything which function efficiently, usually it's at the modular level, and that can be combined. And with AI, you do have those gates, those connections fixed for you, so you don't have stuff which don't become incompatible. So that's another thing which AI can solve. Ernesto, you join us. Feel free to unmute the mic, and we like to hear your opinion on the discussion here.
Ernesto Correa.
Hey, yeah, just
You break out, Ernesto.
minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you if you are closer to the mic. Yes, please.
Can you hear me there? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful to hear all of you. I just have to add, right now, next week, within days, there's going to be a breakthrough in design development that's happening thanks to a new tool that's going to be coming out from developers out in China. The tool in China so far, it's been called XCool, and it's coming out, opening to the West as something called CoolX. Wan Yuhe, she is the one behind this, and it's an amazing new generative tool that will do 2D drawings and 3D all at the same time with image generation. So we're going to see that happening within a couple of weeks, a huge new revolution. And I'm very excited to share this, and I hope you guys look in my feed, because I'm going to be sharing a lot about this coming up in the next few days. But there's going to be a very drastic change, just like we saw with Midjourney and what's happened with the last year with the stable diffusion and generative imagery. Now CAD and 3D models are going to be just as equally generated.
Yes, I knew about it, and yes, it's so excited too. But I was skipping toward the end, but you were faster, which is okay. Again, just a quick explanation, because I'm trying to explain the context. In 3D, it's far more complicated. It could be a point cloud, could be, as right now as the 3D goes, they are like Minecraft squares which they created. There are multiple technologies. It's not only the mesh. the biggest thing which AI have as downside is the fact that it's random. So if you want to maintain the same thing in multiple representation, it's hard. There are ways around, yes. If it's a character, you can give a name. If it's an object, you need to be specific. This is a car, that model, and so on. But always, due to the randomness, AI is gonna make it slightly different, and it's not the same thing. And that's the thing which holds off the 3D. But that goes away. It's exactly as you said, Ernesto. The new model, which the guys from AI, and by the way, over there, AI is also quite advanced. A lot of people, they say they will be kind of passing what happened here in the North American continent. But I don't think it's like that. I think it's going to be a balance. It's going to be kind of supporting each other, because that's the next revolution. When this randomness is kept under control, you have, let's say, an object, and you can move around, and in the same time you can have slices, you can have the side view, you can have the front view, just to give an example for architecture. But the good part is it's a complex. The model itself, it's understood in 3D per se. That means it's building the mesh in 3D, and that's the biggest revolution which I saw.
And something else I saw too, Sandu, is that you can actually do it, but they can't regulate it and you can't really share it. But they said in the future now, like if you go to Netflix, it'll start telling you, suggesting to you different things to watch. But now they have it even set up so you can say, let's say I want to watch Harry Potter, but I want to exchange the cast from the Harry Potter cast to the Stranger Things cast. And you'll be able to watch Harry Potter with all the Stranger Things cast members instead of Hermione and all those other people. And that it's weird, like you can put Avengers into different, so you'll be able to like literally cross genres and different movie streams, like kind of how they do like draw this in Simpson style or Van Gogh style, and then doing these deep fakes. Well, now they can do deep fakes now with existing imagery or already things in real life, or even videos or movies, and now you can substitute those actors for your favorite actor instead, which is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is the attributes. Actually, I did myself some posts with Harry Potter, make it like astronaut and stuff like that. I did it like a month ago. But yeah, the idea, and again, it's the attributes. The biggest revolution which AI have is not taking pixels as it was in 90s and 2000, like Photoshop, what you work at that time, you work with pixels. Right now you don't work with pixels anymore. You work with attributes, you work with concepts. Actually, as you make the example, Lance, you can take any video and in real time you can change based on the attributes. That means the rigging of that particular actor, that can be changed completely, because underneath the movie which you see, AI is thinking characters, rigging, that means parts of the character, how they move it, and they can rechange that. And probably you see a lot of videos even on LinkedIn. You could recognize Michael Jackson playing a movie and they change it with a robot or something like that. Like always is gonna be like that. But in the same time, it's kind of scary, because that has to be controlled, because what's the gate which you're gonna see next? People will do all those fake things, and hope right now is fun, but you don't want something fun like this to become concernable from, different, use it in the wrong way. That's the point where I'm going. So yes, definitely we'll see the future coming toward that direction, and I'm really excited about the 3D part. We are actually right now getting close toward the end time-wise, but I want to quickly add a few things about the AI and engineering side. Quickly. In the engineering, AI is actually very well receptive. Typically, like in the industry where I am, construction, you do not want to take the risk, because usually if something goes bad, it's actually really bad, like a crane can fall and that's catastrophic, but that put people in peril. But you can use it for the design part, you can use it for the engineering side, and it's one nice one which is showing the flow. I posted even here in the comments. You take a car, you put with AR, augmented reality, and you can see the flow. But in the same time, you can see the design, so those will be implemented. And the next revolution, which is going to go hand in hand, and I will probably close with that, and could be a subject for the next meeting, AR, augmented reality, and AI, artificial intelligence, they will go hand in hand. And I think that is going to change the world. And again, being toward the end, I will ask my speakers to kind of have the last words, and some of you guys, to wrap it up. Either John or Christine or Brian or Lance, one of you. You let me know which one we want to wrap it up for the meeting.
Ladies first.
Well, I'm the only one that's a lady right now up here, so well, yeah, this has been great, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this topic again, because I pretty much just could continue to talk about it all the time. We could just get on this every day and, have new things to say, new things to bring up and chat about and learn about. And that's what I love, is that people come from so many different perspectives, and hearing about how they've seen it be used, or hearing about, just in this show, I learned about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 new things to check out, new tools to check out that you guys were talking about. So it's just, it's great. And I feel sad for people who aren't getting that exposure. And one of my sort of missions is to bring that to more people. And I like what Lance said and everyone said about really showcasing the positive and really trying to help people see what we can do with this stuff, with these tools, and how they can be used, and just all the benefits of it. And obviously we don't have to pretend like there aren't downsides, but just really focusing on using it for good and talking about those case examples where it is used for good. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, and I appreciate being able to share. And thanks, Sandu, for having this event.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch up next week on Thursday, same time. Thank you. All the best.